So what we're going to be going through today, we're going to be looking at, all right, so I did a video on microservices on a Wednesday, but you do a quick overview of microservices, and then we're going to talk about Docker networking, and then we're going to actually try to deploy we could say deploy the microservice app that the repo that we're using has. And then we're going to also think about, is there any way that we can customize it? And then we'll see if we can, we'll think about if we can deploy it to AWS. So that is what we'll be looking into with AWS to be deploying the, your guy says is ready to destroy the mic like a rock artist destroys his guitar during a performance. I don't think it's the mic. It's not the mic. It has to be the interface, but whatever. It's been a long weekend. So, all right. So let's go over here real quick. So let's do a quick look of what is a microservice, right? So microservices are software development approach is a software development approach that breaks large applications into smaller independent services that communicate with each other. Microservices are often used to speed up application development and make them easier to scale. Here are some characteristics of microservices. Independent. Each microservice has its own business logic and database. So basically, what this part means is that if you have API for let's use our dictionary app, right? Let's say you have an API for the dictionary and you have a database for that dictionary. That's going to be its own microservice. Let's say you have where users can log in and into to this application for the dictionary. That's going to be its own microservice with its own database for like the user management and the database for the users and stuff like that. Let's say you have the front end where people can actually see the dictionary. That's going to be its own microservice as well. Not necessarily a database associated with the front end, but that the front end of the website will be pulling data from will be using the API for the user management, will be using the API for the dictionary, and whatever other um microservice that's being used. So like it's endless possibilities. All right. So it says communicate through APIs. Microservices communicate with each other using well-defined APIs. Let's see. Owned by small teams, small self-contained teams own each microservice. And a team can own more than one microservice as well. So it's not like, because at the end of the day, like if it's a really small company like a startup, they're not gonna have like a separate team for each microservice, but you can have like 2 or 3 microservices that belong to a team if they're related and things of that nature. Flexible developers can choose different types of databases or data storage technologies for each microservice. So this is very important, right? So you can have one microservice built on, let's say, Node.js, for instance. You can have another microservice built on Python, based on whatever the need is for that microservice. Because if everything is being exposed over an API, it doesn't really matter what the underlying language that's using to build it. The same thing with the database. You can have one microservice using an SQL database. You can have another microservice using a Node database. It doesn't really matter because everything is just communicating via the API anyways. So that's how the information is being consumed. So that's a very, very important point. Using the best tool for the job is what's key. All right. Let's see. So microservices are also used in conjunction with DevOps practices, which allow teams to adapt quickly to user requirements. All right. So that is perfect. And like I said, we're working on DevOps, so that makes a lot of sense. Now, things to take into account with the microservice. You have you have networking that's involved, right? So when you're using Docker, you need to have communicating, like when 2 microservices are communicating with one another, that you need to have them in a network that they can actually go back and forth. You can pull data from one, send data to another. So we're going to be talking about Docker networking as well. So creating a Docker network so that they can be together. So I think the best way to do that, we're going to do it in a couple of different ways. We're going to do it manually. Starting up the applications and then connecting the two, and then we're also going to be doing it via Docker Compose. So let's look into that. Let me see. Let's go to, and I see that question in your car. We'll talk about that because that's a great question about the cost efficiency. We'll definitely talk about that. Let's go to, let me open up Docker, and I think we've been using Python. So let me open up PyCharm. Let me see something too. Okay, that works. Okay, just have to test this real quick. Mm, Weird. Okay. All right. So, let me open up a terminal as well. Is it sounding funny again in your car? So, let me open up a terminal as well. Is it sounding funny again? All right. No mic because it is acting up. It's probably the interface, I suppose, but figure it out afterwards. All right. So let's get to it. We're gonna go over to. I don't know. I'm still hearing I'm still hearing the static. Watch. We'll try it out, your car. We'll try it out. We'll try it out. So let's go like that. All right. Let me know. Let me know. I still hear it. I'm getting rid of it, so it's gone. It's out of there. It's smashed. It's smashed. The interface. It's probably the interface, but whatever. All right. Let's get back to it. Let's not waste any more time. So let's go to over here. Let me open up a terminal as well. Let's see if Docker is open. Oh, we have Docker running, so that's good. Um, what did I do? What did I do? All right, so we're gonna do. Let's see, Docker network. So Docker network. So You can create a network. You can connect a container to a network. Oh, I didn't know you can do that. Like when that exists already. You could disconnect the container from a network. You could inspect the network. You can list the networks. You can remove unused networks. You can remove one or more network. So let's do network. Let's list. Oops. Let's list whatever networks we have. So none, host, hello world, Python default. That must have been with the Docker Compose file that we did in Bridge. So let's do a. Let's look for the microservice. Project, microservice. So if we, I thought they had this on, let me see. We could build it. We could build it or so the way that this works says these simple microservices enable us to focus on learning the tools, Docker, Kubernetes, CI/CD, and build the infrastructure needed around typical microservices. Currency exchange services. If you ask it for the value of $1 in INR or Australian dollars in INR, the currency exchange service answers $1 is 60 INR. The Australian dollar is 50 INR. Let's see. So what I'm gonna look for is docker.com. I would rather do this first with a existing container. And then use like the local one to build it up and stuff. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's see. So there they go right here. Okay, so I'd rather just take this first and make a so I'm gonna do a pull on this repo. All right. And let's do Docker pull in 28-man currency exchange service. All right, so we're gonna pull that. Manifest unknown. Okay. So they don't have a tag with the latest, so we'll have to do this right here. Okay. And then we're going to do the same with the repo for the currency conversion. All right, so now let's do Docker images. So we have the exchange and we have the conversion. 44 years ago. Jeez, Docker wasn't even out 44 years ago. Anyways, let's go to so let's see if we just do Docker run name and we're gonna give it a name of which one needs to run first? Let me see. Docker run, and then we're gonna call it currency exchange, and we're going to say on, I don't know what port it's looking for. Let's see. So we're gonna do this one on port 8000. And I'm getting that from over here. I'm looking at their Docker Compose file, and we're just gonna do this manually first. All right, we're just doing it manually first to see what we can get. All right, let's go back over here, and we're gonna do currency exchange. And then we're gonna say do it detached, and we're going to say, actually, I'm not gonna do it detached in case we get errors. Let's see what's next. Docker name, currency exchange. Now we're gonna say, I didn't create the network yet, but let's see if we can attach it to the network afterwards. So let's say, I think that's everything. Let's go with let's see what happens here. So this is using Spring. So this is built on Java. Java is a Spring framework. Or Java uses the Spring framework. The Spring framework is built on Java. And looks like something is started up. So let's go over to, let's see what comes up over here. Localhost 8000. See if anything shows up. White label error, something not found. Okay, so what is there a path we should be using over here? Let's see, currency exchange from, let's see, oops. Let's go to, let's copy this right here.
Lunch break, lunch break.
All right, let's just see if this pops up, but we're gonna go to break. All right, so something shows up. So we have Europe to INR 8,000. So something is popping up. Well, I had just went to localhost 8,000, and that's why nothing. That's why we got that error. But when I go to this actual URL, currency exchange from Europe to, I guess, Indian rubles or something like that, then we have this show up. So that microservice started.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.